Welcome back, Espíritu Juvenil, nuevamente a nuestro programa, hablando de la palabra de Dios y llevando ese mensaje de Cristo a más allá, ¿verdad? Es un placer, tener nuestros, first 50 subscribers. We're at 52, so es un placer nuevamente de tenerlos a ellos con nosotros. Y espero que ustedes, y'all keep subscribing to this channel. Help us grow, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. It all helps the channel to go out to more people y que se lleve el mensaje de Cristo en verdadmente. So, ahorita le voy a dar el placer a mi hermano Alejandro a aprender la veda, del Espíritu de Dios, because that's what we are symbolized, el Espíritu de Dios, and introduce the guest for today.
There you go. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming back, and thank you for the 52 subscribers. It's not a lot, but it means a lot to us, Especially I know Victor here, he puts a lot of work in behind the scenes. So I just want to thank everybody and thank God that we're here today. And with that being said, I want to introduce our guest for today.
Okay, so my name is Jackie. I'm 22, and I also want to thank Victor and Alejandro for letting me be here and getting to share the message of God.
Yes, nuevamente es un placer, tener on the podcast. Something I forgot to mention was this is the first time Espíritu Juvenil is out of the, county of Livonia and Hartwell. So it's a blessing dejar que vengamos aquí a tu casa, blessings for you, your family, tus hermanos, y, just to your future. I hope everything goes good for you. And just nuevamente, thank you for everything. So we're going to go ahead and start with the prayer. So, en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Gracias, Señor, por dejarnos estar aquí, por escuchar tu palabra. Que tú seas el centro de cada cosa que nosotros hagamos aquí. Que usted nos guíe, que nos dé esas palabras de discípulo, que nos dé ese entendimiento para entender su palabra de usted, mi Señor, y que usted siga siendo nuestra fortaleza, ese amor bendito. Te pido que nos cubras con ese amor bonito y en esta Semana Santa que estamos viviendo, que nosotros en verdad reflexionemos tu muerte por nosotros, recordarnos que usted murió en la cruz por nosotros y vivir el día de Pascua con alegría. Solo le doy gracias por su muerte para nosotros, para librarnos de nuestros pecados. Y Mamita María, te doy gracias por estar con nosotros, para usar el rosario, para bendecirlos y siempre amarnos como una madre. Y Espíritu Santo, te pido que te desciendas sobre nosotros, que nos des esa fuerza, que seas ese espíritu que vive en nosotros para gozarnos de la palabra del Señor. Pues todo esto lo pido en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Well, guys, I guess we'll go ahead and get rolling with the podcast. So we'll go ahead and start with el testimonio de nuestra hermana, Jackie, and let her tell us a little bit of her life story from, when she was young to the age of now.
Okay, so yo empecé la renovación carismática de San Miguel a los 8 años. Empecé en un coro. I was there for 7 years in one, and then I moved to otro coro de jóvenes when I was around 15. And I've been there since, and it's been a very hard, journey so far, walking with God, but it's the most, fulfilling one.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that, walking with God is, amazing, you feel happy. At least when I went away for those 6 months, like I said on the first podcast, it felt very fulfilling when I came back. Do you want to add anything else? No? Okay. So we'll get straight into the questions. And I thought that, estuve con mi mamá, gracias a mi mamá, shout out to my mom. Ella me ayudó con las preguntas y pues, that's my biggest supporter there. Si no fuera por ella, I would be here dando la palabra de Dios. So the first question I want to ask you, Jackie, was, how can a woman grow in her love for the Lord?
It's just about being consistent with God and praying to him constantly and talking to him all the time, whether you're happy or you're sad. And like thanking him for the smallest things, like irrelevant things, like maybe like because you have gas in your car, or just like small irrelevant things, and not taking those things for granted, and just being thankful and talking to him at all times.
Yes. Tu hermano Alejandro, maybe a different perspective.
Well, I mean, kind of building off what she said, like, just talking, because it's easy to go to God when like things are rough, when things are hard, it's easy to go to God, but like, when things are good, I feel like when things are going good, that kind of shows who you really are, because it's easy to, not just with God, but just like, it's easy to have a good attitude when things are going good in life, when everything's going your way, but like when things get rough and things aren't as easy, I think that shows true character.
No, that's a good answer. And I forgot to say, for Alejandro, obviously men, not women.
Yeah.
But how can we grow in love with God? I think to begin with, you need to be truly connected with Him. Tienes que estar conectado con su presencia. And, something que vuelvo a escuchar every time, I'm listening to different predicas and stuff. It's like, necesitas dejar tu cuerpo carnal y vivir en un espíritu de Jesús. So that's what I would say, just let go of everything. One of the things that I could say cuando llegué a San Miguel was that, la primera cosa que le dije fue a Jesús. I didn't have nothing. I had my little, my 2012 Dodge Charger, that's all I had. I was just working. That was it. I didn't have nothing. And God me fue dando más. Le dije, que no se haga mi voluntad, sino la tuya. Igual como cuando Cristo dijo eso en este tiempo de la Semana Santa, he was scared in a way to, what was going to happen, but he was willing to do whatever God needed him to do. Y pues cuando le dije eso a Dios, las cosas fueron fluyendo, las cosas me llegaron tan fácil. Obviously, I worked for it too, but like, I didn't have to chase it down and, work hard for it. So le agradezco a Dios por eso. So that's my advice, just live spiritually with God. And I still struggle with that. I don't know if y'all struggle with that.
Yeah, it's a very hard, but it's a very hard, thing to do. If, the world is very distracting. There's always things that you can do. I try to, I'm in school, so sometimes it's very hard to leave that aside and focus on God.
Yeah. You wonder?
I mean, I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
It's okay. So, yeah, from my behalf, school, I don't really interact with people. I do everything from home. So it's like, it's me and the computer. And at work, it's basically the same thing, because I work in front of a computer. But when I was working with guys outside on the floor, it was difficult because they all like to cuss or they get pissed off about something. And, it makes me mad. They're not doing their job. They're like, why aren't you making them do their job? I'm like, I'm just supposed to fix robots. I'm not a supervisor. And, they would get on to me and stuff. But, aprendí, it makes it hard. And nomás dar ese testimonio de vivir en el espíritu y alegre. If you're always alegre, everybody around you is just going to be like, no, why do I want to mess with him? Él no hace nada. It makes life so much easier. So the second question I had for you guys was, what do you expect for your future or want to do? I'll go with Hunter.
Well, in terms of work, I mean, right now I plan on, keeping on welding, but, that could change, you don't know, you never know what God has in store for you, only He knows. So in terms of work, welding, but, nothing's never certain. But in terms of church, I do want to get closer, definitely. I'm going to really start trying to go now. Like we told, when Victor, last week on the last podcast, when Victor told us, why don't we go to church? I'm like, dang. I was like, there's no excuse, if I have time to get on my phone and scroll for hours, how come I can't, go for an hour or two to church, and worship God? So, definitely try and get close for sure.
Okay, so for my future, I'm studying for cardiac rehab, but like faith wise, I mean, I sing, so I eventually, like, not now, but eventually I want to be able to like write my own songs and use that as my connect, like to help the pueblo connect with God as well. Like just like other song, like other people do for me, like I want to do that for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would be great. Imagine, we had it on a podcast.
This is where it started.
A long time from now, though.
No, pero con el tiempo, yeah. But I think that would be very pretty. Un mensaje diferente, of God, different ways. Like, yo pienso que my other way, like, a mí me encanta hablar, on top of being on a podcast and putting my whole life out there, ¿verdad? Pero a mí me encanta hablar, pero la otra cosa que me encanta hacer es escuchar música, entender. I feel like los cantantes católicos en verdadmente conectan con el joven o con un padre, y like they really get into your heart, and it makes you think, and I'm like, dang, like, oh, that's me he's talking about, So like la música es algo bonito, que hizo Cristo para nosotros, everything he created was for good, pero igual como good, there can also be bad. So, la música también en cierta manera puede ser malo, so watch what you listen to, lo que promueve, like how would you say it? I can't think of the word right now, but just music can really also not be good. So, just watch what you listen y acércate a la palabra de Dios. Y también hay música de todo tipo, hip hop, música, I don't know, romántica? No, right? Because, well, I mean, love with God, right? But, like, there's all types of genre music. So, no hagas la excusa que, well, they just listen to música de alabanza. No, there's different types. And, like, maybe you could add on to something like that, Jackie. Like, there's different genres and stuff.
Yeah, there are different genres. I've seen, like, a lot of, like, rap, but, like, about God. And personally, my favorite is, like, the slow ones. And I've, like, talked to you about that. That's just, like, how I connect with God. And it's just, like, me and him,
Yeah. So, no pongas excusas para las cosas. It's like Alejandro said, Like, we can scroll through, social media all we want, pero le tenemos que dedicar el tiempo a Dios. It's amazing.
Even if it's like a little 5-minute prayer, like that's, sometimes that's all you need, just to feel good.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we're already on the third question. We're flying through it. But, that's a good thing. We kind of keep the podcast too long. So, así nos ayuda, a llevar, get like, not too short of an answer, pero no tan largo, porque queremos que ustedes se conecten con nosotros. And everything that we say is genuine. Es de lo que sentimos nosotros. Like, so, nada de esto fue like practice, like we didn't script this, like tú vas a decir esto y tú esto, it's like todas las respuestas son del corazón. We kind of do like a little routine, like a ver cómo nos escuchamos, or para que se nos quiten los nervios, pero everything comes out of our heart. So todo lo que están viendo, están escuchando es de nuestro corazón. And, before we move on, I want to say, my hermano Alejandro, he's been in the podcast, I think, 3 times already. I think more than my other co-hosts. I think this 3 times with this one. And would that be the same with Emmanuel? No, you've been more than Emmanuel, right?
He missed this one with just me and you. I think he was in all the other ones though.
Oh, so they're equal. Pero los dos, they've been on the, helping me out in all this. Y pues darles un agradecimiento. Mi hermano Emmanuel couldn't be here with us. He had some issues, but it's okay. That was the whole point of having 2 co-hosts was, to like, que no fuera tanto. I like it. I love doing what I'm doing right now. Pero, mi hermano, Alejandro, came all the way down here with me. Y nomás unas gracias a él, Y también, nuevamente, to Jackie and su familia por dejarnos estar aquí. We're invading their homes, So, but gracias for everything that, both of y'all. And then to Emmanuel, if you listen to the podcast, gracias por tu tiempo, por todas las cosas que tú estás haciendo. I know you're going to get closer to God, pero poco a poco vamos trabajando con eso, ¿verdad? Okay, the other question I wanted to ask was, what are some practical bits of advice you can offer for a woman and then you men? So, Jackie, we'll go ahead and start with you.
So, well, mine is not just for women, but it's like in general. One of the retreats that I went to, it was the guy that was preaching was talking about being able to forgive people. And that's something that sometimes I struggle with. And he said like that you have to pray for people, especially the ones that hurt you. And that was, when I heard that, it was kind of it like hurt me in my pride. You know, like how am I going to be praying for these people? Like they hurt me, like they don't deserve for me to pray for them. I'm just trying to be honest. Yeah. But like that stuck with me. And then I remember like when I went home, like a couple like days later after that, like it was still bugging me. Like I should be praying for these people, but I was like telling God, like I cannot pray for them. Like I literally cannot pray for them. And then I just like sat there like in silence. And then like it was still like in my head, you know? And then what came to my head is like when God when they were crucifying him, and then he's like, Father, forgive them for like, or like they don't know what they're doing, or something like that, you know? And I was like, okay, like, I guess I'll do it. So, my biggest advice is to pray for those who have hurt you and those who have not, like the people that cut you off on the road, you know, that makes me so mad. But like, you pray for them, like you pray for them, and like, it makes you feel better. And I think through like praying for people that have hurt me or that have like, you know, disappointed me, I was able to heal and make more progress in my relationship with God as well.
I think that was a good answer. Hermano Alejandro?
Me is like just entregarte, you know, to God, just completely, you know, like give everything you got to God, you know, because I mean, He's the reason we're here. He's the reason we're alive. You know, He sacrificed Himself. So I guess the same thing, not just for, you know, guys, but also girls. You know, just entregarte, you know, give everything you got, you know, some time here and there, you know, if you can just whatever you can, just give it to him, because whatever you give to him, he'll give you it back in double.
Yeah, you know, he says he'll multiply it. But my advice to los jóvenes is go to church. I sound like parents now, right? But es la verdad, you know, me he enamorado de este camino. Me ha dado Dios muchísimas cosas, you know. Alguien que, you know, that I admire a lot is nuestro hermano Jorge. You know, he's given his full time to God, and he's blessed with a beautiful family, beautiful house, you know, y la forma que él habla de Dios is like amazing. Y algún día quiero, you know, llegar a pensar like, I want to be like him. I want to be that old person que le está diciendo a todos los jóvenes, go to church, you know, pero tener un testimonio por atrás de todo eso y explicarles de dónde yo vine. So yo estoy siguiendo la palabra de Dios desde los, hace 12 años. And that first year was rough for me. Decía yo, no, esto no es para mí. Pero luego, escuchando la palabra de Dios, I felt like God has always called me to do this. Like He's wanted me to be near Him. Y pues me he enamorado más y más. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Me he enamorado más de la palabra de Dios. And poco a poco me voy saliendo de being scared a llevar el mensaje de Cristo. You know, Jackie has heard mis temas, and, you know, when we're at work, Alejandro y a Manuel luego me les agarro de las orejas. Like, you can't do that. Like, les trato de explicar de la palabra, and, you know, también como, no solo en la iglesia, llevar esa actitud del amor de Dios, pero fuera de la iglesia. No, creo que los católicos o Christians o lo que sea, you know, like los padres or anything, like en la iglesia, se ven como santos, y saliendo de la iglesia, it's just like, you know, you just now got to church y estás maldiciendo, you know, like Jackie said, you know, they're cutting her off, you know, y andan, you know, diciéndole cosas, you know. So, like, you know, tenemos que llevar una vida diferente siguiendo los pasos del Señor. And one question I had for Jackie was, you know, I kind of know her story a little bit because soy como su maestro de la iglesia or something like that, you know. So like I kind of like try to like know them a little bit more. Y le digo que son como mis jóvenes. Like I take pride in them. Like I want to make sure they're okay and stuff. And you know, one of my questions was like, you know, I know you were back and forth with church, but like what made you want to come back to los pasos del Señor?
Okay. So I actually stopped coming to Crecimientos for a really long time. It was like, I was very consistent through like the most of my life, except for like these 2-3 years. I would try to come back and then I just could, like I would come back once and then I wouldn't come back for a long time. And it was very hard. And I personally, like if I'm being honest, I came back because I went through a very hard breakup and it was very like, it like destroyed like who I was as a person and like all my future plans that I had with this person. And it was very painful, but during that time I was able to lean on God. And it's just like, I didn't feel alone, you know, like if I cried, I felt like God was there with me. And then like on my happy days, I just knew God was happy with me. So I knew that I had to dedicate more time into him. And it just made it was very hard, but it was just much easier with God. And it was just easier to, I feel like the process was just, I was with this person for a very long time. So I thought I was going to be like grieving for a long time, you know? Mm-hmm. So God just made it very easy for me.
Oh, yeah. So God makes everything so much easier. And caminando con los pies de Jesús, it's just like, Él dice que el que esté cansado, que se postre ante Él, ¿verdad? Y Él nos va a cuidar and stuff. And it's something amazing. It's algo, ¿verdad? Y para los hombres les diría, like, chillar no es malo. Like, I'm a crybaby. Yo en la iglesia, I'll cry. I don't care what people tell me.
Real men cry. Okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
There's this Bible verse, and it's like, it just says Jesus wept, and it's talking about, like, I think it's the death of Lazaro, I think. And that's a part that, like, got to me very, like, it just hit me very deep because, like, you know, like, God is God, and, like, he didn't have to, like, cry with them, you know, he knows what's gonna happen, but it just makes him more real, makes him like more of your friend, you know?
It's like more genuine. Like sientes que like él en verdadmente está viviendo en espíritu y en carnal. Like you can feel everything he feels. Like he can feel everything we feel. So, Hermana Alejandra, I'm gonna let you read our Bible verse of today. So it's gonna be Lucas 12:15. So it'll be 15.
Okay. Then he said to the crowd, "Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions." Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, Alejandro, after you reading that, like, ¿qué entendiste? Remember, recuerden, jóvenes, lo que uno piensa es like for you, Dios te está dando ese mensaje a ti. So understanding the Bible is never wrong.
Well, I think it means that, you know, just because someone out there, you know, maybe they're flexing their little watches, their nice car, their big house, you know, all the money they got, you know, that doesn't mean that they're truly happy, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that's all materialistic, to be honest. And just, I mean, you can have everything in the world, but, you know, still feel empty inside, you know. There's one of my favorite cantantes, J. Cole, he, in a song called Love Yours, he says, you know, what's the point in having a big house if, you know, the people who you love isn't there with you, you know? So, yeah, that's what I think.
You, Jackie?
To me, it's just like you can have everything like you want, but you don't have anything if you don't have God.
Yeah.
That's just simple.
Very simple, but very true, you know? You know, I can't really add much to lo que ellos dijeron. You know, they're both, you know, Jackie goes to church with me and, you know, obviously she has a little bit more understanding about la palabra de Dios, but, you know, mi hermano Alejandro, on the other hand, he doesn't go to church much, pero el entendimiento, las palabras que Dios le da para entender la palabra de Dios is something special connected to you, you know. No, para las personas que están hablando de la palabra de Dios really have to have an understanding of el mensaje que Cristo les quiere dar a los jóvenes, los adultos. And, you know, I'm just amazed. Estoy surprised on qué tan lejos hemos llegado. Ellos, la fe va creciendo más y más. Eventually, les quiero llevar un grupo de jóvenes adultos, you know, a Sagrado Corazón. y que when I record los videos les puedo enseñar que a Manuel, Alejandro, Edgar, mi amigo Manuel, estén ahí todo en el grupo de jóvenes. José, hay muchos jóvenes que están, buscando el amor de Cristo. Y es algo bonito que yo puedo poner un granito para que se crezca, el amor de Dios. It's amazing. And I love it, and like, I'm pretty sure Jackie can add on that, ya lo ha dicho, estando con Dios, everything's so much easier, todo fluye más fácil. Well, another question this is for all of us. So I think I'm gonna really dial it in and understand would be, what is something that will make more youth come to church? Like, what do y'all think? I want to start with you, just because, you're from the outside. What would make you want to be there?
Well, honestly, first of all, just like something like this, like you inviting me, honestly, was a big one. And like, you invited me to El Retiro, and like, I really want to go, but I already had plans. But like, if you go to church, you have friends, like, invite them, because everything's funner with your friends, con tus hermanos. Everything's funner, So I feel like, if you go to church and you see your friend and you see he's struggling, be like, tell him, hey, like, come to church one weekend, bug them, be annoying if you need to, but get them to church, and you never know, they might fall in love with it, just as you have.
That's what I had to do with them. I had to bug them for a long time.
We're here now, so
so God's timing es lo más perfecto. Dejar que Dios fluya, como digo, que fluya Él a su tiempo, because el tiempo de Dios es perfecto. If, a lo mejor si hubiera empezado esto hace años, I would have been done with the first episode. Ya había dicho, ya no quiero más, me rindo, ¿verdad? Pero, el apoyo de mi equipo, de ellos, y que me acepten a venir al podcast, y que mi mamá me apoye, mi papá, el grupo de jóvenes, todos ustedes han como que me hacen querer hacerlo cada semana, because, me apoyan, you're always watching the videos and stuff, y me da una alegría porque siento apoyo, siento como que tengo un equipo, que no solo soy yo y Dios, sino que somos una comunidad grande. So, comunidad junta es más fuerte. So, Jackie, what do you think los jóvenes need to bring más jóvenes to church?
I was going to say something similar to Alejandro. I go with my friend Isabel and with my cousin Alfredo, and it's just more exciting, like you can make like little comments about what you think about the tema, and then like a reward after is like you can go out to eat or something, it's just like more motivating. But yeah, just invite your friends.
Yeah, and on top of what she was saying, like the going out and stuff, es lo que hemos trabajado como grupo de jóvenes. Jorge, was el autor de la idea, ¿verdad? Dar crédito donde tiene que haber crédito. Gracias a él creo que todos nosotros nos hemos acercado muchísimo. Entonces, cada mes llevamos a los jóvenes a pasear, a ir donde ellos quieran, y conocernos bien. Like, me personally, no conozco a Jackie completamente. Like, I can't say she's my best friend, because that would be lying, ¿verdad? Pero sí la conozco, es una buena persona. Para mí es una persona que puede dar mucho amor, que es muy, I would say muy tierna, like very easygoing and stuff like that. Y es algo bonito, que en comunidad nosotros nos veamos nuestros, our attributes, y no lo que, like, like por mí, like, I'm chubby and like stuff like that, and like no ver esas cosas, pero ver las cosas buenas de cada uno de nosotros, so en comunidad todo es más bonito. Y luego pues acá con el grupo de jóvenes, y acá con Alejandro, Manuel, Edgar, todos ellos, les estoy hablando de la palabra de Dios, y en esa misma amistad se está creciendo el amor de Cristo. Y, big shout out to Edgar, he went to church for the first time in forever, y that's a blessing, after the podcast, that Friday, llegó al grupo de oración, and that's amazing. El que este podcast vaya llevando a más jóvenes a acercarse a los pies de Jesús era lo que yo quería. Y si estoy ayudando a salvar 2, 3 almas, para mí es una ganancia. Estoy buscando que más jóvenes se acerquen a la palabra de Dios. So I think that's good. Alejandro, you want to add anything else?
Like going back to like the views and everything. I mean, to be honest, I don't care that much about the views. I mean, we could get one view, and I mean, as long as I know it helped that one person, that's really all that matters. Like that's enough for me. As long as we help one person, that's all it takes. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy. Pero en el trabajo I'm always reloading it. A ver, maybe we got one more view. And just because me da una alegría, I don't know. And I've worked so hard for this, a veces me desvelo haciendo los videos. They might not be the best edits, pero voy aprendiendo las cameras, vamos ahí, trying to learn, audio, we had one video that was absolutely not good, pero poco a poco se va viendo lo que sirve, lo que no sirve. I think we're trying to improve. We're going to have more lights para que nos veamos un poquito más shiny. So it's just like, I don't know, me hace una alegría que todo el trabajo que we're doing, like in the background, está ayudando y va dando frutos. So, it's algo bonito. I'm blessed to have my team.
Also, a lot of it's Victor. So, yeah, a lot of it's Victor, like way a lot. So, shout out to you, Victor.
Thank you. But I think all of that is like God, like nada de esto es mío. Like, I think I said it on the first podcast, or maybe it was your podcast. Pero como que carguemos un small mirror, ¿verdad? Y que en ese mirror we can point it at us, and what are we going to see? We're going to see ourselves. But if we slightly tilt it up, we can see, God who's above us is God, y podemos, like resemble la aparición de Cristo, So like that little like dinámica, or like, just una reflexión de like think like, si nomás le damos un poquito, a little tilt to our little mirror of life, podemos ver a Cristo en nosotros. So, like just pensar en el mensaje, qué es lo que haría Dios, in our shoes. Another question, a ver. Why do you think it is easier for women to open up to God? I thought that was a really good one because personally, I feel like men are like really tight with their feelings. So I'll let Jackie start on this one.
Okay, so I think for Hispanic men, it's a very like, men cannot cry, men cannot open up. And for me personally, I think it's easy for me to open. I mean, I'm already like a very big crybaby. So as soon as I start thinking, like I start to get like a little knot in my throat. But I think God allows you to see yourself in like a very different way, and like things that you find like so imperfect about you, they're like so perfect to Him. And I think that like He makes you feel love, and like nobody else can make you feel that way, And I think a lot of women, we lack a lot of self-love, but God shows you like that you're like perfect. And I think that's why it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think for me personally, creo que, I don't know si necesito kind of sprinkle a little bit of woman in me, pero para mí it's a lot easier para abrirme con la palabra de Dios, y yo creo que por eso me enamoré con Cristo, because I'm able to open up, and I don't know, I can just, it's amazing. So on behalf of, women, thank you all, because most of las que están en la iglesia, como nuestras abuelitas, nuestras mamás, son mujeres, y gracias a ellas, like people like my mom, gracias a su fe y el amor que ella tiene, I'm here, y soy una creación de ella. Y through her, we're helping Alejandro, we're helping Jackie, we're helping Emmanuel, and so many more jóvenes acercarse a la palabra de Dios. So women son muy importantes en este camino de Dios, igual como la Virgen, she at la edad de 15 años, I'm 21, at 15-year-old, to think that I was going to have a kid, like para mí eso es like, wow. Y luego a pensar de que they could kill her for that. That's even more scary, So, las mujeres son una parte importante de la palabra de Dios. So, mujeres, shout out to y'all, Pero Alejandro, what do you think? She said what she thought, but for you?
I mean, building off what she said, I think a lot of it is, just the masculinity side. You can't cry, but also, social media, always shows you, oh, men have to do this, men have to be this, men, can't cry. We're not, no somos robots, we got feelings too, and I feel like, once you accept that, it's okay to cry, because sometimes, if something's going wrong, you have to cry, like you cry, you cry it out, and then after you're like, I'm good now. You're like, I'm okay. So, I feel like once you accept that too, the fact that, it's okay to cry and it's okay to, be soft, it's okay to have a soft side, and I feel like after you accept that, things, get a lot easier.
Yeah. I think social media también tiene a big part in all of this because, men can argue that women have life easier and then women can argue that men have life easier, vice versa. Todo puede ser volteado, pero en verdad we're all equal. Todos tenemos nuestras cosas, nuestros, our strengths and our weaknesses, y saber, go beyond that and use those to our advantage. Y las cosas que no sabemos de hacer, get better at it, My weakness, I can hardly read. But eso no me va a parar de hablar de la palabra de Dios o leer la palabra, entender todo lo que Cristo me tiene que decir es, espiritualmente. So don't let your weaknesses pararte de seguir la palabra de Dios, So I agree with both of y'all. Like I said, puede haber different sides to the story, social media, being Latino te puede, kind of apretar ese corazón, pero, amar a Cristo sobre todas las cosas. I think this pretty good subjects, going through it and stuff. I like what we're getting through. And, we went through all the questions and I think that was a pretty good podcast. Pretty short, trying to shorten the podcast, make it better. Poco a poco, like I said, we in the last video puse playeras, para el podcast, para poder comprar más equipment, para tener más luces, some better stands que no se caen cada ratito, maybe some more cameras so we can have some more views of the guest and then nosotros. And another mic if we ever have 4 people on the podcast. No tenemos que andar pasando el micrófono back and forth, y todo eso. So, en verdadmente, apóyennos, pónganle un like, un comentario, ayúdenos a llevar este mensaje de Cristo. I think all of our videos agarran como a 1.1 suggested, so, that's good. Entre más likes les vayan poniendo a sus videos, más suggested to people that probably don't even want to hear us, pero they're like, a ver we get, and then a lo mejor así ayudamos a más personas.
Shout out to everybody again, thank you. I know we get a lot of friends and family that watch us, which I didn't think as much friends would watch us, but I find out and they're like, it surprised me. I'm like, well, you watch it? They're like, yeah, we saw you. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I just started laughing.
Yeah. Jackie, anything else you want to add on right before we get into the prayer or something?
Nothing too big. Just thank you again for letting me be here, and I'm very excited for all 3 of y'all for what God has to do, and can't wait to watch more.
Thank you. And, nuevamente voy a poner esto, quiero volver a ver, before I did the first episode with Emmanuel, grabé en mi teléfono, grabé en la computadora que tengo, y it was the goals that I wanted for the podcast. Y I go back to the video 2 months later, y ahí vamos. I didn't think I would have 4 videos. This is episode number 5, it's amazing, in un año, who knows what will be, and hopefully we'll still be here. We'll be annoying you on YouTube, and maybe we'll be on some more platforms. Vamos a estar en otras plataformas, pero eso poco a poco. Víctor todavía no sabe cómo hacer todo eso. So, ahí vamos poco a poco llevando la palabra del Señor, and we'll go ahead and get into the prayer and go ahead and close it out. So, en nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Amén. Gracias, Señor, por tu mensaje que nos has dado hoy, por todas las cosas que tú nos enseñaste, por ese amor bendito. que usted nos siga cubriendo con ese amor. Y nuevamente en esta Semana Santa, en verdadmente le agradezco por su muerte, por ese amor que usted tuvo por nosotros. A pesar de tener miedo, usted aceptó a morir en la cruz por nosotros. Ese es un amor grandísimo. Le agradezco por ese amor. Le agradezco por cada gota de sangre que usted sufrió por nosotros. Le pido que nos ayude a sobrevenir cualquier pecado que nosotros hagamos, lo que sea, pornografía, masturbación, tener sexo antes de casarnos, cualquier cosa, mi Señor. Hablar mal de otras personas, pelear con nuestros padres. Le pido que usted nos aleje de cada una de esas cosas. Cualquier joven que esté escuchando hasta aquí, al principio del podcast, que usted lo bendiga, que se lleve la palabra del Señor, que usted siempre esté con nosotros para llevar este mensaje a más jóvenes, ¿verdad? Porque usted es el Rey de Reyes. Mamita María, tú te amo, te agradezco por todo lo que tú hiciste, por ese amor bendito que nos diste. Y pues, Jesús nos entregó a usted como nuestra madre, y en verdadmente la quiero como madre, porque usted nos ha dado ese amor bendito. Y Espíritu Santo, te pido que te derrames en nuestros corazones, en el corazón de mi hermano Alejandro, en el corazón de mi hermana Jackie. Sigue cantándole al Señor, que Alejandro siga estando aquí conmigo para llevar el mensaje de Cristo, y que usted siga pudiéndome ayudar a mejorar este podcast, que usted viva en mí, que me dé esas fuerzas, y sobre todo pido por las almas del purgatorio, ¿verdad? Te pido que usted perdone y nos ayude a salir de allí, que nosotros podamos ser una fuente de ayuda. Y todo esto se lo pido en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Well, guys, it's a pleasure to be here with y'all. With Jackie, que nos dio nuevamente unas bendiciones grandes a su casa, estar aquí, a mi hermano Alejandro por, having a 1 hour drive with me, escuchándome todas mis locuras que tengo que decir on the way here, pero it's a blessing to have you nuevamente aquí. So I'm gonna let my hermano Alejandro turn off la vela, and then we'll go ahead and close the video. Well, guys, thank you for listening to Espíritu Juvenil, and we're out.